Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from New Perception from the Off My Chest subreddit and says, my girlfriend took her life after we broke up. Her family is now blaming me and spreading my information online. And I don't think I need to give you the trigger warning, but just in case, it sounds like the story is going to contain suicide within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. My girlfriend recently just took her life. This is by far the most devastating and traumatizing event I've experienced in my entire life. I spent 5 weeks total in the hospital after 2 failed suicide attempts. My girlfriend was very physically and emotionally abusive. She strangled, struck, and tried stabbing me many times. Whenever I would try to end the relationship, she would threaten to take her life and mine as well. I called the police on her and contacted her family, in which she would just say she was kidding. She would later threaten me and have me not contact her family and police again, because if I did, she would do something terrible. Anyways, her family has recently began posting my picture and information online. They've also created a narrative that I encouraged her to take her life and that I'm now hiding and fleeing from the police, which none of that is true. What can I honestly do in this situation? Commoner says to OP straight away, it seems like they're openly spreading lies about you. Pretty sure that's illegal. You could call the police and explore your options, I'd say. Panic says also call a lawyer and start sending cease and desist. Morgan says, hell with the cease and desist. Let them build a nice tidy mountain of evidence and then boom, hit them with 500,000 civil suit for all mental anguish and character damage. And it was 2 years after that, OP came back into the post and said, hello everyone. Nearly 2 years ago, my girlfriend tragically took her own life. It remains one of the most devastating, life-altering experiences I've ever endured. The pain and trauma from that event has rippled through every corner of my life, reshaping how I see myself, relationships, and the future. I'm just 23, but this experience has aged me far beyond my years. The emotional toll and the weight of everything I've been through left their mark, inside and out. When I first shared parts of this story, I was overwhelmed, drowning in raw emotion, confusion and chaos that clouded my ability to fully articulate what I was living through. It was rushed and incomplete. Now, with time, distance and healing, I want to share a more honest and comprehensive account. Not just to tell my truth, but to shed light on the complex reality of abusive relationships and grief. Our relationship was deeply complicated, painful, and at times frightening. She was physically and emotionally abusive towards me, behaviors that left scars I carry to this day. The abuse was often unpredictable, and I lived with threats and fear that made leaving feel nearly impossible. It's difficult to explain how emotional guilt and hope intertwine, how I clung to the memories of the good moments and believed against evidence that change was possible. But those signs in hindsight were warnings I wish I had recognized and acted on sooner. Throughout our time together, I reached out for help multiple times, calling the police, involving her family, in a desperate attempt to find safety and support. After her passing, her family attempted to pursue charges against me. However, after a thorough investigation, the police found no grounds for any legal action. The lead detective personally assured me that I had done nothing wrong and that there was no evidence to implicate me in any way. I fully cooperated with the authorities from the beginning. Despite these official findings, her family began spreading harmful and entirely false claims, including that I was fleeing from the police and on the run. This was a complete fabrication. I was never evading law enforcement. I remained present, accountable, and compliant through every step of the investigation. To protect myself and ensure the truth was represented, I hired a highly respected lawyer, someone with a strong legal reputation who had also served in Congress. Their guidance and advocacy helped me navigate the wave of public misinformation and personal attacks that followed. While the harassment has diminished over time, some of the false narratives still linger, continuing to cause pain. Since then, I've faced my own battles, mostly significantly a suicide attempt that led to a 5-week hospital stay, followed by time in a psychiatric facility. It was one of the darkest and most vulnerable periods of my life. Recovery has been a long, slow process, often painful and exhausting. I now work full-time to manage the weight of mounting medical bills and rebuild some sense of stability. I plan to return to college in the fall of 2026, a step that represents both healing and hope for the future. Through it all, the unwavering support of my friends and family has been a lifeline, reminding me that I'm not alone and that it's okay to ask for help. Healing is not linear. Some days are brighter than others, and I'm learning every day to be patient and gentle with myself as I rebuild my life from the fragments left behind. Loving someone who hurts you is confusing and painful. Holding on to the hope of who they could be while facing the harsh reality of who they are kept me trapped far longer than I ever imagined. That internal conflict is something I still wrestle with. I share this update to raise awareness about the brutal realities of abusive relationships. Leaving isn't a simple decision. Emotional guilt, fear, and hope can create invisible chains that keep people trapped. If you or someone you know is in this situation, please know you're not alone and help is available. Please also remember, suicide is never the answer. No relationship, no matter how difficult, should end with loss of life. A healthy relationship requires emotional wellness. Your life is precious and worth fighting for. She wasn't a bad person. She was someone deeply struggling with pain and trauma of her own, a pain she couldn't or wouldn't face with help. That painful complexity shaped how I remember her, and I carry that with both sorrow and compassion every day. I loved her and I still do, forever and always. No matter how difficult things became, she'll always be number one in my heart. She will hold a special place there until the very day I die. If you're reading this and feel alone, overwhelmed, or stuck, please reach out. Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or professional. You don't have to carry this burden in silence. I hope by sharing my story, I can help others approach situations like this with empathy rather than judgment. We rarely see the full story behind someone's pain. I also kindly ask respect and privacy as I continue to heal. This path is difficult, and compassion from others means more than criticism ever could. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or abuse, please consider connecting with a counselor, helpline, or a support group. There is help available, and you're not alone. I'm open to answering any questions or having honest conversations, whether in the comments or through direct message. If you're going through something or just need someone to listen, I'm here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's offered kindness, support, or simply taken the time to read this. Your compassion means more than the words can say. Some people were accusing it of being AI, as you often see in lots of posts these days, but a commenter said, I have no idea why this is being accused of AI. I have a ton of posts that are kind of similar, but I lost my brother and blame my brother's girlfriend. Unlike your situation where you tried to get her help, the girlfriend and her family, they live with them, knew my brother was in psychosis and suicidal and harming himself for a week before he killed himself. They told no one, did nothing, did not try to help him at all, just let him die. I wrote a post similar to yours every Monday, the day he died, on my social media, hoping it'll help someone. If they're spreading misinformation about you, have them charged with harassment. Good luck. Hope he responded simply by saying, I'm sorry for your loss. The kind of grief runs deep, especially when it's mixed with anger and the weight of knowing that people should have stepped up, didn't. You and your brother deserve so much more. In my case, her family has gone out of their way to make me the scapegoat, and it's been incredibly painful. What they won't talk about is the fact that she was actually on suicide watch. Her own mother, a nurse, was the one responsible for watching her, and they still left her alone. After she died, they called me yelling, saying it was my fault because I'd broken up with her. But later they completely changed the story. They started spreading lies online, claiming I abused her and encouraged her to take her own life, even though by that point I'd already stepped away from the relationship. The truth is, I always took her seriously when she said she was suicidal. I called her family, I called the police, I tried again and again to get her help, but each time I did, she would lash out at me. She would tell me I was being overdramatic, that I was making things worse, and that she'd never actually go through with it. After a while, that started to change the way I reacted. Not because I stopped caring, but because I'm human. When someone repeatedly tells you they don't mean what they're saying, you start to believe them, even when part of you still worries. It became a situation where I was stuck between trying to help and being told I was hurting her by doing so. What a family will never understand is that She told me in her own words that I was the only reason she was still alive at times. I was the one person she felt cared. So now to be blamed for her death by the very people who were supposed to be protecting her. It's heartbreaking. They need someone to blame and they chose me. I really appreciate you sharing your story. Posting every Monday in memory of your brother is such a meaningful way to honor him, and I'm sure it's helped more people than you realize. Thank you for your compassion and understanding. It means a lot. I'm doing my best to move forward with the truth and find peace. I hope you're able to find that too. You're not alone in this. Oh dear, that one had me absolutely welling up. So incredibly heavy, that story. OP has been through absolute hell. Surviving an abusive relationship, losing someone that he loved despite that abuse, and then facing all these false accusations at the same time, battling, his own demons as well. And when he was talking about the invisible chains, the cycle of abusive relationships, the hope, the fear, guilt, this person threatening suicide every time you try to leave, so you just become trapped as your new normal. We see like the normalization of abuse in a lot of stories, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I'm glad to see after 2 years that OP is doing so much better and is rebuilding. I imagine it's going to take years and years from what he's been through, especially some of the other things he was saying. And I'm not meaning to be an arsehole here, but when OP said she wasn't a bad person, just struggling, I can't see past that, what she put you through. She might have her own trauma, for sure. Many abusers do. But having trauma doesn't excuse absolutely terrorizing another human being to the point of almost ending themselves at the same time. Strangling him, trying to stab him, threatening murder, suicide, and just trying to fully manipulate and control him. It's just full-on abusive behavior, and that's not an excuse. And I hope with therapy over time that OP can acknowledge the pain, but without excusing their abuse. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from a deleted user who simply says, would I be the arsehole if I asked my girlfriend to change her wardrobe? I'm 25 and my girlfriend is 22. We have different jobs. I'm a professor and she's an amazing artist and graphic designer. It's honestly a great relationship. We communicate openly, rarely fight, and always have cuddle time, etc. We've been together for 2 years. Before anyone asks, no, she was not my student. I was in grad school and her about to graduate at a different uni. We met through a mutual friend. My problem is, her wardrobe consists of solely hoodies and jumpers, or crop tops, but mostly the former. When I take her out on fancy dinners we both get excited for, I'm all dressed up and she wears a jumper and tights. I had an academic conference/seminar that she wanted to attend, and she showed up in a hoodie while everyone else, me included, wore formal slacks and button-downs at least. She got mistaken as my student. She doesn't own more than one formal shirt, and I don't think I've ever seen her wear that. One morning I asked, as nicely as I could, if she wanted to wear a turtleneck instead of a knit jumper for a fancy dinner with my siblings. She says she'd think about it, but still didn't. During a get-together with my friends at another fancy place, we wore button-downs and she wore another hoodie. I felt embarrassed to sit beside her, who looked like a kid in the midst of working adults. It's not like I never wore more casual clothes, but I think I wear them when it's appropriate, and not for events which I feel deserve a little formality. It's driving me insane because I don't think it should be this big of a deal. They're just clothes, but I can't help but be disappointed when she shows up like that to dates I saved up for. It's a little aggravating and I feel miserable that she doesn't think to dress up for me, like the formality of it all is disrespected. It's not like I'm going to ask her to wear anything uncomfortable for her, or for her to change her style completely and throw away all of her old clothes. I'm not asking her to always wear formal clothes either, but I really wish she could read the atmosphere and dress accordingly. Mud Bunny says no one's an arsehole here. You're allowed to want your girlfriend to dress up when she attends things that are important to you. She's allowed to feel that what she wears is good enough. You need to decide, with her, if this is a go/no-go point in your relationship. Cheesy Armadillo says not the arsehole. Unfortunately, you won't get unbiased opinions here, but there are times and places where dressing up is expected. There's nothing wrong with dressing down in daily life or even in certain circumstances where people would normally dress up. But fancy dinners, work events, seminars, etc. have a certain expectation of formality. I do not believe you would have nearly as many "you're the arseholes and no one's an arsehole" answers if you swap the genders in your post. Edit: at the time of making this comment, there was one not the arsehole, and the rest were "you're the arseholes" or "no one's an arsehole here." Comfortable Stop says not the arsehole. She's not dressing appropriately for the circumstances. If you were trying to dictate what she wore around the house, it would be different. And since you can't/shouldn't control what she wears, you need to stop inviting her to more dressy places and events. Another commenter says, "I'm struggling with my decision. I guess not the arsehole. I don't think it is okay to ask her to change her clothes completely, but she should understand that for certain events and places there is a dress code. If nothing works, then perhaps find a place where they won't let you in unless you are dressed formal. Tell her to dress formal and that you go to a fancy place. Tell her ahead enough that she can even buy clothes. Offer to go shopping with her. When she comes with hoodie 1 and gets kicked out, maybe it'll be a wake-up call for her. Or if you want to be the arsehole, then there are other ways on how to achieve that." And one final comment from One Small Bean, who says, "I think she is very mildly the arsehole. While she is absolutely entitled to be comfortable, it doesn't appear that she's made any effort to meet him halfway. It's not like she isn't aware that formality is required at some points in life. I have tons of clothes which are comfortable and formal. It just takes a bit of effort. The fact that she won't expend a bit of effort is what makes her the arsehole to me. I think OP would be the arsehole if he said she had to stop. I think he needs to decide if this is something that he can tolerate or not, and communicate how he feels to her. They've been together for 2 years. He says they communicate openly. If that's true, then this should not be an issue. If he does say it and she continues to brush by it, things actually aren't as rosy as he thinks. For me, it actually would be my hill to die on. My job requires networking and my partner is perceived as an extension of me. Even that aside, I think it's a mark of respect for a partner to dress appropriately. That they care enough about me to make an effort, even if it isn't their thing. That's why I date people who are particular about the clothes they wear, tending towards the more formal anyhow." So, within the same post, OP did come in to update and says, "Thanks for the judgment and advice. Before I wrote this post, we hadn't touched on the topic too much, which was why I asked if I would be the arsehole if I approached her in the way I was thinking of doing so. Luckily, got some advice from phrasing things to suggesting going shopping or buying her something. Siblings and I are meeting up for dinner in August for my brother's birthday, so I went ahead with telling her, let's go formal because this is a formal event. To which she replied she had no formals to speak of. So I said, no problem, I've been wanting to buy you a new dress shirt. Maybe you'll find something you like. If not, we'll go looking in other stores. We bought her 2 dress shirts she can wear under her more dressy jumpers. That are not sweatshirts, and she thinks tights for bottoms would match nicer with her top. I bought her new flats as well. Girlfriend is on the tomboyish side, so I didn't even think of asking or suggesting dress and heels. So far she seems happy and I'm relieved too. I think she looks really professional and good. PS on the profession side, I'm only an associate professor, but yes, it's totally possible in my country. I'm in the humanities field, so it's very small and features no experimentation for papers, meaning as soon as I finish writing something, I can submit it. BA at 21, MA at 23, MA PhD track. Currently a doctoral candidate. Got hired as an assistant professor right off the bat because of MA from a reputable school and my offer of several unpublished works to publish under uni name. Zoom through promotion to associate professor. Super genius? Nah. There are plenty younger than me with bigger achievements. I'm on the same age as an actual super genius who's the vice president for the national committee of our field now. It really helped that I've been active in conferences ever since I was an undergrad. I'm just happy to be stable and like my job. Stories like this are always a bit difficult and very delicate because you absolutely don't want to be that controlling partner who's trying to change someone or make them into something they're not. You know, in reality, I think everyone should be able to dress how they like and enjoy life, etc. And in many stories, you see people trying to, control behaviors, get them to change their clothes, and it comes across as a huge red flag. And no one wants to be that person, right? But I myself have been in situations where I've been underdressed or overdressed, and it's awkward. And I was thinking from her perspective, I wonder how she was feeling in that situation. Was she feeling awkward if everyone was like in suits and, you know, she's got a jumper on. Maybe she wasn't. But I know myself, I would feel awkward in that situation and wish someone would pull me up on it. And I've known people in real life who genuinely don't pick up on, you know, social, air quotes, social cues. And they're not being disrespectful on purpose. They're just, you know, in their world, comfort trumps convention. And if you take a step back from that situation, you honestly think, you know, fucking fair play, you know, good on them. But when it creeps into your relationship and you're at these formal events often where there is a kind of expectation of wearing a certain thing, I can imagine it where it creates this weird tension, and then you're asking someone to be a version of themselves that, you know, isn't them. And there were many comments all over the place on this one. Not the arseholes, you're the arseholes, everyone sucks ears, you know, but people just asking, why can't you just accept her for who she is, or is impressing everyone else more important to you, etc. Other people saying that they understand some situations have dress codes that should be respected in some way. It always confuses me, these ones. Because in an ideal world, I'll be walking around every day, everywhere, in my casual yellow ducky loungewear. But if I rock up to the pub in these today, I'm never living it down. But what do you guys make of this situation? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.